The thing with inspiration is that sometimes it can just pop into your head if you're lucky, and other times you just have to start drawing to find it. But either way, the ideas are already out there, it's just a case of finding them. The things I'll need to consider while I'm sketching are firstly the activities that are going to be played in the sports hall. Obviously I need to research into those and practice drawing the figure in action. Secondly, I need to think about the location, and this is perhaps the most important thing because the work has to be site specific. It has to fit that space and look like it is part of the design and that it was always meant to be there. And thirdly, I have to think about the practical issues of whether it's going to be hung in the air, hung on the wall, whether the sculpture is going to be grounded as well. One of the areas for sculpture is in the reception, where first impression is all important. This is the opportunity to make a really inspirational piece of work for everybody to see as they pass through. And the wall available is a horizontal rectangular shape, 5.7 metres long. And for that area, I've come up with 3 different possibilities. Basketball is one of those sports where the dynamics exists in the interaction between the players. My suggestion would be for perhaps a sequence of 5 moments in time within that sport, each one a couplet, and it would draw your eye to the centre where the player would finally score, and that would be raised slightly higher. The figures would be in a miniature scale, which would be pleasing to the overall length of the piece, probably about this sort of size, and they would be in a relief form across the wall, lit from underneath, which brings them alive and casts some really awesome shadows on the wall too. My next idea for the reception focuses on fencing. This is such a stately sport. There's almost something regal, something very beautiful about it. And because of its linear form, it would lend itself perfectly for this space. I would suggest 2 opposing figures, perhaps slightly larger than the basketball players, but also in relief form on the wall. My final suggestion for the reception encompasses all the sports. This multi-sport relief sculpture will give a fair representation, therefore, of sport and gender. It will feature badminton, fencing, basketball, judo and netball. Any of the wall reliefs could work equally as well in the fitness suite, though you might want something perhaps a bit more generic, like a set of runners. All of the sports I have featured would work equally well as standalone life-size sculptures on plinths for the outside of the building. Running would be a typical sport where the fundamentals of speed and movement are needed, and this female athlete would work well as a life-size or even larger sculpture placed on a pedestal outdoors. These are a collection of my first ideas and impressions. If you want to take any of them forward, the next stage for me would be to make scale 3D models of each piece. This is an essential process because it helps me to assess whether or not they will work visually and practically.